In 3 years since Russia-Ukraine war has begun, and since then there are a series of peace talks and truce talks that have taken place. But what we see at the end, that there is no fruitful solution to this long-standing conflict. Days before, Russian President Vladimir Putin offered a direct talk with Vladimir Zelenskyy, and the stage was all set. However, just hours after the announcement, Putin took a step back, and Kremlin then went ahead and confirmed that the Russian president will not join the talks, and Ukraine's President Zelenskyy and eventually ceasefire talks failed miserably. So after the truce talk debacle, United States President Donald Trump says that he will speak to the Russian president. He'll call him, and he will also talk to him about stopping the bloodbath and also ending the war in Ukraine. In a Truth Social post, Donald Trump also said that after Putin, he would also talk to Zelenskyy, and that he would also dial some leaders of NATO countries to settle the score. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin has confirmed that Moscow has enough resources to bring the conflict in Ukraine to its logical conclusion with the result needed by Russia. Putin's statement also comes after Trump's Truth Social post over Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. Let's listen in to all the reactions that we've been tracking.
У нас достаточно сил, средств для того, чтобы довести начатое в 2022 году до логического завершения с нужным для России результатом. А этот результат – это устранение причин, которые вызвали этот кризис, создание условий для долгосрочного устойчивого мира и обеспечение безопасности российского государства, обеспечение интересов наших людей на тех территориях, о которых мы всегда говорим. И там, где проживают люди, считающие русский язык родным языком и считающие Россию своей родиной.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy also met top officials from the United States and also leaders from Europe. He met them in Rome ahead of that high-stakes phone call which is slated between Donald Trump and President Putin on ending the war in Ukraine. All eyes are going to be on that highly anticipated phone call between the US President and Vladimir Putin. So the focus is going to be on this. So what are we hearing and what do we know so far? That all talks of peace and truce talks seem to have failed. Trump says he's going to talk to Putin. Zelenskyy is meeting leaders and he's also, like he's been saying, it is Russia that does not want a ceasefire. It is Russia that does not want war and conflict to end. So now the focus is going to be on that anticipated phone call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin on ending the war in Ukraine. So like viewers have been telling us, it's been 3 years so far. Donald Trump has been claiming that he's played a key role in at least bringing both sides to the table for talks. But just if we look at the developments that are now, playing out, it seems like the Russia-Ukraine conflict, it seems to be going back to where it was, Srinjoy, because what we know is that President Putin backed out last minute. What more, how do we analyze the situation as it's now unfolding?
Well, President Trump had said that he would end the war in one day after he became president. And the war would not have happened if he were president. Now, it's more than a day. He's been in office for over 100 days. Now, there have been efforts to do it. He's spoken with Putin. Putin has also called him on one or two occasions. He has met Zelenskyy more than once. And now there has been a meeting with Vice President Vance and Zelenskyy in Rome. Zelenskyy being, of course, the Ukrainian president. But there seems to be no solution in sight so far. So this is going to get much more difficult because the requirements, what Zelenskyy wants and what Putin wants, are so radically different that it's impossible to ensure that both are going to be satisfied. Because let's look at just one issue, the issue of land. Now, first of all, currently, if the ceasefire takes place where the troops are at this moment, then Ukraine stands to lose a lot of territory that Ukraine is not in favor of. Then, of course, there is the issue of Crimea. Now, Russia wants Crimea, is holding on to Crimea. Ukraine believes it's Crimea is its Ukrainian. So who can sort all of this out? You can end the war, but what can you do vis-a-vis the territorial issues? Someone has to blink. And at this point, neither country is refusing to do so.
So, you know, Srinjoy, when Putin says that Moscow has enough resources to bring the conflict in Ukraine to its logical conclusion with the result needed by Russia, when you just listen to the tone and tonality of that statement, is it also a message that he's not just sending out to Zelenskyy and other world leaders, but also to President Donald Trump?
It's a message to Trump saying that I can continue the war. That's what he's saying, that Russia has the capability to continue the war till he believes that he has attained all the objectives. Now, what he's trying to say is that, yes, he's lost a lot of troops, but during World War II, between 1941 and 45, the Soviet Union, of which the Ukraine was also part, lost all of 27 million people, including troops. Now, 27 million, 2.7 crore, is a huge number. And that war had lasted 4 years. And it ended with the Soviets entering Berlin. Now this... so far, the Russians haven't even lost a small fraction of 27 million. Nowhere near. So as a result, he believes that he can continue to fight for much longer.
All right. Srinjoy, thank you for putting that into perspective. But viewers, we also want to leave you with some pictures, because Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy also met Donald Trump's VP J.D. Vance for the first time in Rome after that very public Oval Office fiasco, that spat that broke out. Both the leaders held talks at a time when Washington is constantly pressing for an end to Russia's war in Ukraine. With that, it's time for us to take a short commercial break.